The rain came down in sheets, hammering the pavement outside the diner where I sat, staring into my cold coffee. My reflection in the window looked like a stranger tired eyes, clenched jaw, a heart still bruised from a breakup that had left me hollow. Then I saw him, Eli, sprinting through the downpour, his jacket pulled over his head like a shield against the world. He burst through the door, dripping wet, his blonde hair plastered to his forehead, and flashed that crooked grin that always made my chest tighten. "Noah, you look like you're plotting a heist," he teased, sliding into the booth across from me. I laughed, but it was brittle, barely masking the storm inside me. Eli and I had been friends since freshman year at our small liberal arts college in upstate New York. He was the golden boy, charismatic, athletic, the kind of guy who could charm a room without trying. I was the quiet one, always sketching in my notebook, hiding behind glasses and oversized sweaters. We'd spent countless nights studying together, sharing pizza and bad jokes. But lately, something had shifted. His glances lingered too long, and my pulse raced when he leaned too close. I told myself it was nothing. Just friendship. Just Eli being Eli. That night, the diner was nearly empty, the hum of the jukebox filling the silence. Eli's eyes softened as he leaned forward. "You've been off, man. Talk to me." His voice was low, like he was coaxing a secret out of me. I wanted to tell him about the ache in my chest, the way my ex's betrayal still stung. But instead, I shrugged. "Just life. You know." He didn't buy it. "Come on, Noah. You can't fool me." His hand brushed mine on the table, and I froze, the warmth of his touch sending a jolt through me. I pulled back, heart pounding, and changed the subject. "You're soaked. You shouldn't be out in this storm. Crash at my place tonight." The words slipped out before I could stop them, casual but heavy with something I couldn't name. Eli's eyes widened, then softened. "Yeah. Okay. If you're sure." His voice was quiet, but there was a spark in it, like he was testing the air between us. I nodded, ignoring the way my stomach flipped. It was just one night. Just friends. My apartment was a small, cluttered space above a bookstore in town, walls lined with sketches and shelves stuffed with art books. The rain hadn't let up, and by the time we got there, Eli's clothes were clinging to him, outlining every line of his frame. I tossed him a towel and one of my hoodies, trying not to stare as he peeled off his wet shirt. "You're gonna catch pneumonia," I muttered, turning away to hide the heat creeping up my neck. "Thanks, Mom," he shot back, but his tone was playful, his eyes catching mine in the dim light of my living room. He tugged on the hoodie, which was too big for him, the sleeves slipping over his hands. It was unfairly endearing. We settled on the couch with a couple of beers, the TV playing some old rom-com neither of us cared about. The air felt charged, like the storm outside had followed us in. Eli sprawled out, his knee brushing mine, and I couldn't focus on anything but the heat of that small point of contact. "You ever think about what you really want, Noah?" he asked suddenly, his voice cutting through the hum of the TV. I blinked, caught off guard. "What do you mean?" "Like, out of life. Out of people." His eyes were on me now, steady and searching, like he was peeling back layers I'd spent years building. My throat tightened. I wanted to say something safe, something that wouldn't betray the thoughts I'd buried deep thoughts of him. Of us. Of what could never be. Instead, I took a swig of my beer and shrugged. Happiness. I guess. Whatever that looks like. Eli didn't look away. And what if happiness is closer than you think? His voice was barely above a whisper. And the room seemed to shrink. The space between us electric. I opened my mouth to respond. But nothing came out. His hand moved, resting on my knee. And my breath caught. It wasn't just a touch, it was a question. A challenge. A door creaking open. Eli, I started. But my voice cracked. He leaned closer. His face inches from mine. His breath warm against my cheek. Noah, I'm not imagining this. Am I? His words were raw, vulnerable, and they shattered something inside me. I shook my head, unable to speak. And then his lips were on mine, soft and hesitant at first, then hungry, like he'd been holding back as long as I had. The kiss was a spark in a dry forest, igniting everything I tried to ignore. My hands found his face, pulling him closer. And for a moment, the world was just us two hearts colliding in the quiet of my living room. The storm outside forgotten. But as we pulled apart, breathless, reality crashed in. Eli was my best friend. This could ruin everything. The next morning, sunlight streamed through my window, painting the room in gold. Eli was still asleep on the couch, his hair a mess, my hoodie bunched up around him. He looked peaceful, but my mind was a war zone. What had we done? What did it mean? I slipped into the kitchen to make coffee, hoping routine would ground me. But my hands shook as I poured the grounds. Eli stirred, blinking awake, and his smile was like a punch to the gut. Morning, he said, his voice rough with sleep. I managed a nod, but my chest was tight. He sat up, rubbing his eyes. You okay? I wanted to lie, to say everything was fine, but the words wouldn't come. Last night, what was that? Eli. My voice was sharper than I meant, and his face fell. I thought. He paused, running a hand through his hair. I thought it was what we both wanted. It was, I admitted, my voice barely audible. But what happens now? You're my best friend. If this goes wrong, I couldn't finish. The thought of losing him was a knife in my chest. Eli stood, crossing the room to stand in front of me. Noah, I've been falling for you for months. Maybe longer. Last night wasn't a mistake. It was the first time I felt like I could breathe. His honesty was disarming, and I wanted to believe him, to lean into the hope in his eyes. But fear was a heavy anchor. I'm scared, I said finally, the words spilling out. I've lost people before. I can't lose you too. He took my hand, his grip steady. You won't. We'll figure this out together. His voice was a promise. And for the first time, I let myself believe it might be true. Days turned into weeks, and our friendship became something more. Something fragile but beautiful. We stole moments between classes, quiet walks through campus, late-night talks in my apartment, his hand in mine under the table at the diner. But the world wasn't as kind as our bubble. Our small town wasn't exactly a haven for two guys holding hands. And I felt the weight of every stare, every whisper. One evening, we were at a local bar, laughing over a shared plate of fries, when a group of guys from our college walked in. I recognized them, frat brothers who'd always given me side-eye for being that artsy kid. One of them, a broad-shouldered guy named Jake, spotted us and smirked. "Didn't know you two were a thing," he said, loud enough for the whole bar to hear. The room went quiet, and my stomach dropped. Eli's hand tightened around mine under the table, but his voice was steady. "Yeah, we are. Got a problem with that?" His defiance was a spark, but it only fueled Jake's grin. "Nah, man. Just surprised. Didn't think Noah had it in him." The words were laced with venom, and I felt the old shame creeping in. The voice that told me I'd never be enough. Eli stood, his jaw set, and I grabbed his arm, whispering, "Don't. It's not worth it." But Jake wasn't done. He stepped closer, his voice low and cruel. "You think this is gonna last? You're just a phase. Noah. He'll get bored." The words hit like a fist, and I froze. My insecurities laid bare. Eli's eyes flashed with anger, but before he could swing, I pulled him toward the door. "Let's go," I said, my voice shaking. Outside, the air was cold, and Eli was fuming. "I should have decked him," he muttered, pacing. I shook my head, my throat tight. He's not worth it. But what if he's right? The question slipped out, raw and vulnerable. What if this is too hard? What if you realize I'm not? Eli cut me off, grabbing my shoulders. "Noah, listen to me. I'm in this. All the way. I don't care what anyone says." His eyes were fierce, and I wanted to believe him. But doubt was a poison seeping into my veins. The tension followed us, a shadow we couldn't shake. We kept our relationship quiet, but the whispers grew louder. Friends started asking questions, and my family back in Ohio had no idea. I hadn't told them about Eli, about me. The thought of their disappointment, their judgment, kept me up at night. Eli was braver, more open, but I could see the toll it took on him. The way he'd scan a room before touching me. The way his smile dimmed when someone stared too long. One night, we were at my apartment, curled up on the couch, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from my mom, coming to visit next weekend. "Can't wait to see you." My heart stopped. I hadn't told her about Eli, about us. I hadn't told her I was gay. The weight of it crashed over me, and I pulled away from Eli, my hand shaking. "What's wrong?" he asked, his voice soft but worried. "My mom's coming," I said, barely above a whisper. "She doesn't know?" "About me? About us?" Eli's face softened, but there was pain in his eyes. "You don't have to tell her yet." "But, Noah, you can't keep hiding who you are. Not from her. Not from yourself." "I know," I said, but the words felt hollow. I wanted to be brave, like him, but the fear was a wall I couldn't climb. What if she hates me? What if I lose her? Eli pulled me close, his arms a safe harbor. "You won't lose her. And you won't lose me. We're in this together. Remember?" His voice was steady, but I could hear the strain, the weight of carrying my fear alongside his own. The day my mom arrived, I was a wreck. Eli offered to stay away, but I needed him there, even if I couldn't say it. We met her at a cafe in town, the kind of place with checkered tablecloths and too sweet lemonade. She hugged me tight, her familiar perfume grounding me for a moment. But her eyes kept darting to Eli, curious, searching. You must be Eli, she said, her smile polite but guarded. Noah talks about you all the time. Eli grinned, effortless as always. All good things. I hope. But I could see the tension in his shoulders, the way he held himself like he was waiting for a blow. The conversation was light at first: school, her job, the weather. But then she asked, So, Noah, are you seeing anyone? The question was innocent, but it felt like a spotlight. My mouth went dry, and I stared at my plate, unable to speak. Eli's hand found mine under the table, a quiet anchor. Actually, he said, his voice calm but firm. Noah and I are together. The words hung in the air, and I felt like I was falling. My mom's smile faltered, her eyes widening. Together, she repeated, her voice tight. You mean, like a couple? I nodded, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Yeah, Mom. I'm gay. And I love him. The words were out before I could stop them, raw and true. And for a moment, the world stopped. Her face was unreadable, and the silence stretched on forever. Then she stood, her chair scraping against the floor. I need some air, she said, and walked out, leaving me frozen. My worst fears confirmed. Eli squeezed my hand. Give her time, he whispered, but his voice was strained, and I knew he was hurting too. I wanted to believe him, but the look in her eyes haunted me. That night, I couldn't sleep. Eli stayed with me, his presence a quiet comfort, but my mind was a storm. I kept replaying my mom's face, the way she'd left without a word. I'd spent years hiding who I was, afraid of this exact moment. And now it was here, tearing me apart. The next morning, there was a knock at my door. My mom stood there, her eyes red, her hands clutching her purse like a lifeline. Can we talk? She asked, her voice small. I nodded, letting her in. Eli excused himself, giving us space, but his hand brushed mine as he left, a reminder that I wasn't alone. We sat on the couch, the silence heavy between us. I didn't know, she said finally. I didn't know you were struggling with this. Why didn't you tell me? I was scared, I admitted, my voice breaking. I thought you'd stop loving me. Her eyes filled with tears, and she reached for my hand. Noah, you're my son. I could never stop loving you. I need time to understand. But I want to. For you. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a fairy tale. But it was a start. A crack in the wall I'd built around myself. We talked for hours. About me. About Eli. About the life I'd been too afraid to share. She didn't have all the answers. And neither did I. But for the first time, I felt like I could breathe. Months later, Eli and I stood on the same porch where it all began. The night air cool against our skin. The stars were bright, and his hand was warm in mine. We'd faced the stares, the whispers, the fear, and we were still here, stronger for it. My mom was trying, slowly coming around, and I was learning to let go of the shame I'd carried for so long. Eli turned to me, his eyes soft. You okay? He asked, his voice a quiet anchor. I smiled, leaning into him. Yeah. For the first time in a long time. I really am. That night, when I invited him to stay over, I thought I was offering a friend a place to crash. But it was so much more. It was the start of us. Of a love that was messy and hard and worth every second. It was the night that changed everything. Forever.